So what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about your team? What have been any specific challenges, any gifts that has come out of this for you?
So there are gifts that occur every day, and they happen in different ways, but most of it's how people behave. And there's a lot that I've learned. So I think the learning that I've had, so my parents were psychotherapists, so I had the benefit. They weren't like nutty psychotherapists, like when you'd wake up in the morning, they wouldn't say, when you said good morning, they wouldn't ask why, but they just, they thought about human beings. And my mother had a very simple saying, and she's passed away now 5 years. She said about people managing their own stress level. So she said, if you don't let it come out, it will come out. And when it comes out, you won't be able to control how it comes out. So if you let stress build up, if we define leadership as someone who can absorb a massive amount of negative energy and stress and all of that, and can't express themselves as a human being, that's a ticking time bomb. So here's what I've learned in the last 10 to 12 weeks. And it's not new. Character matters. And character comes out in moments like this. And it doesn't necessarily come out in the best ways or the worst ways. It can. And when you do, observe that behavior, observe that character, and understand that in that moment, that's probably the truer sense of the individual you're interacting with. So one of the things I've really paid a lot of attention to over the last 10 weeks is how our employees treat each other, how they step into the moment, how they look at leading without people seeing them lead, just doing it because it's the right thing to do, and those examples, and acting in the moment of in the interest of others. So if you think about servant leadership in its truest form, leaders, another one of my dad things, my dad wanted to become a monk, but, and thankfully he didn't. So he always said that leadership is love. And I used to joke with him that, Dad, if you said that in today's environment, it would be perceived in a very kind of curious way. But he said, Mike, if you can't love the people you lead, you can't serve them and lead them. So love is more of an affection and respect and protecting and trying to serve them in the right way. And so in this moment, we have seen the worst of people and we've seen the best of people. So my example of my team, the team that I'm really fortunate to work with, is them absorbing those examples, bringing the next generation along because they haven't seen it. None of us have seen the pandemic firsthand, right? That goes back to 1918. But bringing people along and reinforcing to them that in a moment of crisis, reinforce what the best of people do, how the best of people show up, and really highlight those negative scenarios about how people behave badly so that people can understand that when things return to whatever normal is and people's behaviors start to kind of settle out, the people who behave badly, that's a part of who they are. And you have to be cautious about how we do business, how we interact, and focus on the people that behaved in the best of ways. Its character matters. And it's not, here's the last thing I'll say. Everybody has a position on leadership. Everybody's talking about defining leading in uncertain times. And there's a whole industry being created about how you manage through this. How you manage through this is as a decent human being who respects others. And you think about them first, and you think about how to serve them. And when you do that, the discretionary effort that an employee will put forward to doing the right thing, or someone who sits on a board, is exponential. So just come to terms with treating people like people and not trying to define yourself as some exceptional leader in uncertain times. Because to me, that's a public statement that doesn't really reflect character. At least that's how I show up.